Hi guys, welcome back to another makeup and motivation. If you're new to this style of video, basically I sit down, I do my makeup, I don't talk about the makeup, but everything is listed down in the description box in case you're interested. But I sit down and I read a piece of encouragement, whether I wrote it 2 days ago, 4 years ago. This piece was actually written up into parts. And I just compiled it all together because it went together. It was just random ideas and pieces that I've had just over the years, so there's no set date on this. I just finished this probably 30 minutes ago, so I really hope that this encourages you guys to really motivate you to kind of overlook your life, your choices, who you're surrounding yourselves with, but not only that, to look at yourself and the growth that we need to have. I think so much of the time we put emphasis on other people and what they need to do and all that, but it all comes back to us. So we'll get started. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy or boast, it is not arrogant or rude, it does not insist on its own way, it is not irritable or resentful, it does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. That verse is well quoted among Christians, and it seems like everyone uses that as a guide for their perfect mate. But you're in a relationship with Lousy Joe who beats you, or Crazy Kate who sets your clothes on fire in an attempt to punish you for something she thinks you did. But that sign you bought from Hobby Lobby with 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7 plastered on it hangs above your bed with such voided words. You can hold those verses near and dear, trying to abide by that daily. While I agree we should be living examples of those verses, the thing is you're clinging to love endures all things and love bears all things. Nowhere in that verse does it say love is stupid, love tolerates all things. So stop being fooled by people who are completely and utterly unequally yoked for you. 2 Corinthians 6:14-16 says, stop forming inappropriate relationships with unbelievers. Can right and wrong be partners? Can light have anything in common with darkness? Can Christ agree with the devil? Can a believer share with life with an unbeliever? Can God's temple contain false gods? Clearly, we are the temple of the living God. As God said, I will live and walk among them. I will be their God, and they will be my people. Basically, they don't mix. That's what that verse is saying. We don't mix. Stop forming inappropriate relationships with unbelievers, with people who you are so unequally yoked for, who you're not cut out for. The Bible gives us clear instruction not to be unequally yoked with someone, but even as believers, we don't put that instruction into good use. Here's why it's so important. There's a huge difference between surrounding yourself with people who challenge you and cause you to grow versus being unequally yoked with someone. The latter causing great unhappiness. Trust me, I know firsthand. When you involve yourself with somebody who doesn't line up and support your personality, your goals, your dreams, your spiritual well-being, it brings greater difficulties, struggles, and unnecessary battles. But yet we settle and compromise, but we wonder why we're unhappy and unfulfilled with our connections and lives. You can find yourself being pushed into things you want no part of, held back from your own interest, having your relationship with the Lord suppressed, or taking on characteristics you never imagined having and you definitely don't want. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, do not be deceived, bad company ruins good morals. So basically, lose the bad company, lose the corruption. I'd rather be totally and completely alone than ruined, corrupt, and spiritually destroyed. But so many people don't feel the same way. People tend to think that their entire lives revolve around having a relationship or even friends. I can't tell you how many people I know that have gone from relationship to relationship to relationship, all in an attempt to keep from being alone. That mindset brings such compromised morals. Basing connections out of the fear of being alone can make you end up feeling stuck, enslaved to the other person, and eventually empty. But it's a habit. And just like any other habit, it's hard to break because you get in that cycle of just constantly looking for somebody. It doesn't matter if they don't line up with you. And I'm not saying that you can't be with somebody that has different wants in life, not at all, but there's so much that are key factors into who we are, our morals. Those things aren't things you need to compromise on. And you can end up being absolutely miserable because you have compromised, and those things could be avoided. Everybody comes with baggage. Everybody comes with challenges, and there's going to be arguments and things, but you've got to pick what you're, the baggage that you're taking on. I don't want to pick some baggage that I can barely hang on to. And so many people get in to these connections and they're exhausted, they're drained because they're not cut out for what that energy is bringing on them. So here's my advice for those of you who end up in the vicious cycle of being unequally yoked in your connections. Make a daily decision to be more matter-of-factly logical. Rather than seeing people through rose-colored glasses, see them for who they are. People will show you who they are every single time. It may take a while, but they will. And you've got to stop trying to change people to see them in a different light because they're showing you who they are. And yes, changing your thinking is a difficult thing to do, but eventually you will start to see things more clearly, more as they actually are. And that's important. Also, take this as an opportunity to soul search, to find out why you settle, why you compromise, why you constantly set yourself up for disaster, because that's what it is. Like, you can't love somebody into being a completely different person, even though so many of us think that we can. Are you lonely? Does your sense of value only come from other people? Do you love yourself? These are hard questions to answer honestly, but it's vital that you do, because once you do, you will learn so much more about yourself and you will have a plan to move forward. You'll be able to move forward if you can admit it and answer those questions. So, what's the remedy? How do you fix this situation that you've gotten yourself into? You fill the void with a relationship with the Lord. And I know so many of you don't want to hear that, especially if you're young, because I can remember hearing things like that growing up in church, and it's just like, oh, like how do I do that? Like, but there's no effort at that age, at least there wasn't for me. And only until my 20s, my mid probably 20s, have I started to form an actual relationship with God, and it has changed so much. But you form a relationship with God by searching after Him, by reading His Word, by praying, by actively looking for God in everything, because God is in everything. It may seem like such a far-fetched idea for some of you, others it won't be, but it is absolutely crucial to have a relationship with God, because once you have a relationship with God, you won't feel like you have to be validated by everybody else, that your value comes from everybody else, because it doesn't. It comes from God. Having a relationship with God is such a beautiful thing, and I wish I had have realized that a long time ago, but it took me years to realize that. And yeah, it's really that simple. So many of us want this grandiose plan and soul searching to a far greater extent, and just this journey of self-discovery, but forcing yourself into taking those steps, those let me read the Word of God, let me pray, those are how you know yourself. If you really want to know yourself, you have got to, I've said this before, you've got to do the nitty-gritty with God and connect with God, clinging to the Father rather than the world. And during this journey, put into practice 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7, before you use that as a measuring point for somebody else. You have to use it on yourself. Are you patient? Are you kind? Do you envy or boast? Are you arrogant or rude? Do you insist on your own way? I do. Are you irritable or resentful? Again, me. Do you rejoice at wrongdoing or rejoice with the truth? And so on and so forth. Basically, are you a picture of Christ? I'm not. Maybe at times, but definitely not always. During this phase of my life, I'm working daily towards being better. And I encourage you guys to do the same. Being on the right path will lead you to the right places, people, and opportunities a whole lot faster than taking the wrong roads and making the wrong decisions ever will. So yes, look over your connections. And yes, use that verse as a measuring stick for other people. But before you ever do that, do it for yourself. Because if you want to be with the right people, you want the right connections in life, you need to be right. And I don't think people put enough emphasis on that because we want to look at other people and if they benefit us. And yes, that's important. And yes, we don't need to be unequally yoked. I'm going to do what I can to live up to 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. Am I patient? Am I kind? Do I envy? Do I boast? Am I arrogant? Am I rude? Do I insist on my own way? Am I irritable or resentful? Do I rejoice at wrongdoing or do I rejoice at the truth? Do I bear all things? Believe all things? Hope all things? Endure all things? Or am I stupid in my decisions? Or do I tolerate all things? These are things that I'm asking myself. And I want you guys to do the same. Because knowing the answers to those questions will only help you grow in life. And I want you guys to grow, and I want to grow as well. So if you find yourself in a connection, a situation, whatever, that is sucking the life out of you because you know in your spirit that this is not right and that you need to walk away, and that no matter how much you try, that you can't force yourself to fit because God cuts you different, I highly suggest, recommend, encourage, push you guys to cling to God, to search God in this situation, to give you a way to move out of it, to move forward in life and not be a decade down the road and you're still there. You're still stuck. You're still clinging to something that's never been meant for you. So that is it for this video. Be sure to check out Artistic Religion. This will be a blog post. Love is Unequally Yoked. Be sure to check it out. Let me know what you guys think. If this was helpful, if this motivates you, or if I'm just on a wild idea that doesn't make any sense. Because I feel like I'm having a hard time getting this across. But I mean this with very good intention, but I hope that this doesn't get too, I don't know, that I'm just misdirected and confused in anything that I say, any of these videos or anything like that. I feel like I was just kind of, I don't know, off a little bit, but hopefully the words that I said God will use to touch somebody, to encourage them, to motivate them, and whatever you are going through, whatever, know that you're not alone and that so many people are right there with you, and so many people that you would not expect are right there with you. So that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. If you have not subscribed, I would appreciate it if you guys would do so. If you want to be notified when I post, hit the bell. Other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.